When I heard about the Charlie Kirk situation, I cried. I wept. Um, I wept because not because I agreed with him politically, not because I held to his ideology, but because he's a human being. And no one deserves to be taken out of this world because of their ideas. Um, it's a dangerous place when you can be taken out of this world because you have a particular political belief. I cry because he's a child of God. He's a human being. I cried because he has a wife, he had a wife, and he had two children. That's why I cried. And I thought it would be appropriate to say something. I really didn't know what to say um, because the political landscape of our country is so polarizing. And people are looking for any opportunity to point the finger and point blame at others. So I didn't want to come off as being political or come off as agreeing or disagreeing with a particular ideology, but just wanted to just speak as a human being. And I felt obligated, really, because of those of you who listen to this channel and you value what I have to say. Many of you who may be Christians for the first time, you've accepted Christ and you take my words and you consider them as you go through your Christian faith and in your life. So I felt I owed it to you, even if I feel uncomfortable talking about this, that I should say something, that I owe it to you to say something. And here's what's most important in this argument that I don't hear a lot of people talking about. That in the that number one, Charlie Kirk was a Christian. Okay. Regardless of whether you agree with his political opinion, um, he was a Christian. He was a believer in Jesus Christ. And according to the church that Jesus has built and is still in the process of building through the Spirit of God, through his Spirit, that we should be concerned one for another. Not only based on the fact that we're a human being, but based on the fact that we call ourselves believers in Jesus Christ. We call ourselves Christians, which actually means something. And so when I see Christians not maybe applauding or using inflammatory words or phrases because of a person's death, simply based on a political ideology, that's problematic. That is a problem. It's a problem because that's the root of cancer and division that politics has played into the church. And it's sad. It's sad because we lose our witness. We lose our gold. The scripture says that without a vision, people perish. If you don't know the direction you're going, if you don't know what you've been called to, you're susceptible to any form or any kind of information that you hear or any ideology or political viewpoint that comes across. And it's disturbing. It's disturbing that we in the church have gotten to this place, right? When Jesus said in the Gospels, I mean, we can go to the book of Matthew. We can go through the Gospel of Luke, we can go through the Gospel of John, we can go to any of the synoptic gospels, and the message is the same. Love the Lord your God with all your heart, your soul, your mind in the New Testament, and your strength. In the Old Testament, it says with your might. In the New Testament, it says with your mind. And the second commandment is greater than the first. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is a fundamental Christian belief prioritized on the humanity of other people. And this is what we're not talking about. And I don't want to hear people talking about it. And it's when I say it's problematic, I mean that it shows that the church has taken some other or co-opted or believe another form of the gospel. That's why I cried when the brother died. I mean, no one deserves that. No one deserves to have that happen to them because they believe they have a particular political ideology. Now, I would say emphatically that I believe that Mr. Kirk, God rest his soul, has said some things that I just don't disagree with. I mean, I have good theological principles of why I disagree with it. I have good ethical principles of why I believe that I have good historical principles of why I can disagree with him. But at the end of the day, we should still be able to sit down and have a debate and respect the other person's humanity. And we've lost that. And I feel I'm sad because like I sat down with my son and we talked about this. My son is a young man. He's a 12-year-old boy. And I talked about how violence is not the way. And this is what Jesus taught. Jesus said over and over again in the gospel. Remember, Jesus under Roman occupation told his disciples, don't repay evil for evil. If someone hits you on one cheek, turn the other cheek. If someone asks you to go 1 mile, go 2 miles. Vengeance is God's. The Lord will repay. Now, there's many ways that we can talk about the ethical implications of that, right? I mean, we can. But never did Jesus advocate for violence. And then some people will say, well, what about the Old Testament? Well, the Old Testament is different. It has a different angle. It's telling a message. It's telling a story of the Israelic or Hebraic community and the struggle with its God, Yahweh. And it's talking, even though it talks about Bible, doesn't glorify it. It also shows in the Old Testament, you notice that every time violence is talked about, it's all the end of the story is never good. And that's why Jesus said violence is not the way. You will remember Peter in the Garden of Gethsemane when Jesus was arrested by the high priest's guard. Peter asked Jesus specifically, should we take up arms? What did Jesus say? Put away your sword. If you live by it, you're going to die by it. Could I not ask my Father to send a legion of angels to fight on my behalf? But that's not what we're trying to do. We're trying to change the human story. We're trying to change human history. We're trying to change how we relate to one another. This is essential to understanding what the gospel is and whom we take our cues from. That's Jesus, not from a political party. And I'm not advocating that people don't participate in their particular political ideology. Of course, it's our citizenship right. It is how we contribute to our society. It's a beautiful thing. But when I'm talking to the church, people who claim Jesus Christ, it's time that we stop, that the time is now, that we stop swearing our allegiance to a political party and start declaring our allegiance to Jesus Christ. you will remember that Jesus was a reformer. And one of the human practices and one of the human ailments and one of the human diseases that Jesus worked emphatically to eradicate was the cycle of violence. That's why I weep for Charlie Kirk. And so I don't know how much longer I'm going to go on this video. Um, I don't want to go long. I just want you to know that violence is not the way. Jesus was not an advocate. Violence is not part of the gospel. Jesus said to his disciples and his followers, I'm going to show you a new way. Love your neighbor. Don't return evil for evil. Do unto others as you want done to you. Show grace to people. Be compassionate. Care for the widow and the orphan. Let justice be a priority in your ethical belief system and in your ethical behavior. This is the message of the gospel. That God not only saves your soul, but when that soul salvation happens, now that should go out into the world and how you function and how you act in the world. This is not a political statement. Jesus was not building a political party, and Jesus was not building the United States of America. Jesus did not adhere to the Constitution. It was not considered part of his belief system for those who would be his disciples. But Jesus talked about basic human needs that transcends culture, geographical landscapes, political ideologies, and worldviews that include all of humanity. Because the Church of Jesus Christ is not just in America. It's in Asia. It's in Africa. It's in Europe. It includes the entire world. It's in the West. And so that's why I weep for Charlie Kirk. And my prayers go out to him, his wife, his kids. They're going to grow up without a father. And let me just say this too. This is not a time to exploit his death. Let me just speak prophetically and say this. This is not a time to exploit his death. This is a time to mourn his death, to mourn how his death is a reflection on the current climate in the American culture. So pray for his family. I pray for his family, his wife, his friends, those who knew him personally, and I'm mourning. I didn't know the guy, barely even looked at any of his stuff online. I kind of saw from a distance every now and again, just scrolling through social media, but no connection at all. I just wanted you to know that there's an alternative voice out there for the church that we must adhere to. So when you see people taking political stances on this, this is not the Christian way. That's another gospel. That is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. So I want to invite you to receive Jesus in your life always. Why? Because when you receive Christ in your life, he changes your heart. And when he changes your heart, it should flow down into your behavior. As your behavior is governed by the Spirit of God, then you and I can begin making an impact in the world. So now is the time to accept Christ. Now is the time to follow his lead. Now is the time to listen to the Spirit of God. Now is the time to go to your church. And don't let politics win the day. Let Jesus win the day. Okay? This is my prayer for you. This is my prayer for our world. This is my prayer for my own home. This is my prayer for the future of the church and to make the world a better place. His name. Amen.